Hello, welcome back. This is Norma Frahn, and I'm coming to you for another Let's Coach session with Life Coach University. And you caught me on my day off, so you're not getting any kind of makeup or anything from me today. Today is just 100% plain old me. So I apologize for that if I'm a little thrown together or not thrown together today, but I've just been deep in working on a new course for my membership, and I can't believe that 3 o'clock snuck up on me as quickly as it did, but I am ready for you. So again, welcome to another Let's Coach session. My name is Norma Frahn, and I am a life coach and integrative nutrition health coach. And most of my talks here on Life Coach University are around those things. I've talked a lot about a real holistic approach to weight loss. I've spent a lot of time there. And now I'm really digging into the side of our health and our weight and our emotional well-being, which is emotional eating. That's a big one. And I think it's something that we all struggle with because we're all human and we all have emotional needs. And so often they're met with food. So that's a little bit about what I think I'm going to talk with you today about. But before I jump into that, let me just do a little bit of housekeeping. If you're new to the Let's Coach sessions, thank you for joining us. And if you happen to be catching this on replay, you'll be able to follow up with any questions for me directly based on what we've talked about here today, just by going to the Life Coach University website and clicking on coaches, and then just find my picture and click the button, and you'll be able to get a message directly to me. But for those of you live, we'll be able to coach in a couple of different ways. You're more than welcome to raise your hand, your little virtual hand at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and I will bring you on so that we can speak to each other. We'll be able to have a conversation. Or, and this seems to be the most popular way that we've coached so far, at least in my sessions, is through the Q&A box. And all you need to do is click that little box at the bottom of the screen that says Q&A, and a window will come up and you just type in your question, and I'll keep my eye on that as I go through my talk, and we will answer questions. We can coach whatever it is you need. I'm here to help. So feel free to use that. And then the final way to receive coaching is just to listen in. There's so much value to be had in what we call or refer to as coaching by proxy, because so much of what people bring to us for coaching on applies to everybody in one way, shape, or form. So grab a pencil, grab a notebook, whatever it is, and be ready to take some notes. Even if you have no intention of being coached, you're likely going to hear something that will be very useful for you. All right, before we jump in, let me just quickly look. All right, cool. Okay, so if you've listened to any of my Let's Coach sessions in the past, you know that I like to start with just a few minutes and talk about something that kind of gets the wheels turning a little bit, gets you thinking, and maybe it stays with you for a day or two when you can kind of marinate in it and see, what parts of whatever it is that I'm sharing might make sense for you. So today I want to talk to you about a meal that I have never particularly enjoyed, and I call it my shame salad. So there was a time whenever I went out with friends or coworkers or even my extended family, like out to a restaurant or whatever, I would order the most boring salad on the menu with dressing on the side. And not because that's what I wanted, but because it was my way of saying to everybody at the table, I know I'm fat and I need you to know that I'm doing something about it. So I'm having this lovely shame salad. Now, anyone else experience that or have a similar experience? I'm sure you do. If you're someone that is really subconscious about your weight, perhaps, or you just don't feel comfortable in your body, we do things like this to somehow make ourselves feel a little bit better, or to just somehow In my mind, it was to deflect any judgment or prevent any judgment from coming my way. Because of the size of my body, I felt like the only thing I deserved to eat was a salad. And I wanted everybody to know at that table that I knew it too. So it's just something that we do. It's very normal, it's very human, but it's also something that we don't have to do. So there was a lot to unpack there in my little shame salad story, but I want to talk about just one part of it today. And for me, it's, I think, the most insidious part of diet culture. And that's the part that's left us in this constant shame about the size of our body. It's never good enough. And if you do live in a larger body, there's certain things that you believe you simply should not do, like order the meal you really want, or God forbid, have dessert. That was something else that I never did. I never would eat dessert in front of people because I didn't want to be judged. And that messaging that you're not good enough and don't deserve to enjoy simple things like a meal in a restaurant is the root of the horrible relationship many of us have with our own bodies, with food, and what we think of ourselves. So I ate my shame salads my entire life, starting at around 13 years old, and it ended the same way every single time. There was always a big food binge, always ensued afterwards, because that silly, stupid salad was the reminder to me that I just wasn't good enough. And all I could think about was how good it was going to feel when I was alone afterwards and could eat until I washed away every remnant of shame, even if it was just for a moment. If that shame went away, I'd feel good. So if you're living with your shame salad like I did, I don't have to tell you how awful this cycle is. And there isn't a tip, trick, or hack that I can offer you to make it stop. The relationship you have with your food, your body, and yourself is complicated. It's deeply rooted in past experience, and it's fueled every day by the messaging we're getting from diet culture. Now, I don't say this to create a bunch of gloom and doom. I'm saying it because I want you to understand that it's not your fault. There's nothing wrong with you, and it's completely normal if you're carrying around a lot of shame about your body size. How could you not? This world is not designed to accommodate people in larger bodies, physically or emotionally. But all is not lost. There is hope. And it's all around changing that relationship you have with your food, with your body, and with yourself. It is possible. And the solution is not dieting your way to a thinner body. Instead, I would offer you that you set aside the pursuit of weight loss and give all of that love and attention to uncomplicating your emotional eating so that you can experience true, honest to goodness freedom and never have to eat another shame salad again. So, after several years of coaching weight loss and hundreds, I think, of talks here at Life Coach University on weight loss, and then reflecting on the journeys of my clients and frankly my own personal experience, I've come to realize that the bigger problem to solve and the one that will have the most profound impact on your life is your relationship with food, your body, and yourself. So, to that end, that's where the focus of my work as a life and health coach is going to be. And I can't thank Life Coach University enough for giving me a platform every week to come here and help you uncomplicate this, because I truly believe this is the thing that's going to give us all freedom. So I hope you're with me, and I hope you keep coming back every week to dig into this stuff. All right, let me see what we've got. Okay. So we'll do a little Q&A coaching first. The first one I have is I've struggled with emotional eating my whole life, and it seems impossible to stop doing it. All right. So first, I totally understand everything I just said a minute ago. Emotional eating is complicated, and it's not something that you can just flip a switch and stop doing. And there always feels like, and I sense it here a little bit, this sense of urgency, which is also normal. When we have a behavior that we know is not serving us, of course we want to stop it right away. And we want to go to whatever that thing is that is promised to make it go away. And that's where we need to pause for a second and just catch our breath. So there's lots of reasons, but there's one reason in particular that makes stopping emotional eating seem hard. And it's because food works. Food is comforting and it is soothing and it does make it feel better. It works. And if it didn't work, we wouldn't keep doing it. We wouldn't have what we perceive to be this emotional eating problem. But the comfort we feel from eating is usually very fleeting, and it only lasts a short time before that comfort's replaced with another emotion like guilt and shame. So the work is not managing your food better or dieting or having more willpower. That's not even it. The work is understanding that your emotions can't hurt you and finding alternative coping strategies for those difficult emotions that usually drive us to food. And that's the real work that doesn't come quickly, but it does come when you practice patience and keep going back and keep trying different things. So me, okay. Um, let's see. So isn't that what I should be doing? Controlling my eating? Great question. And actually, no, just the opposite. Let me see if I can explain this. So when we're dieting, we're trying to control our food, and that's usually restricting or depriving yourself of food. And when you deprive yourself of food, it's not just physical deprivation that happens, it's also emotional, especially if eating is your primary coping mechanism. So when you're depriving yourself of emotional relief, you're eventually going to feel even more out of control. So controlling your food, restricting it, actually creates more of an out of control feeling because those emotions that were used to being soothed and comforted with food are now left completely unattended. So what happens is they actually get more intense, they get more agitated, and the intenser they get, the more you want to eat. So you see, it's a very vicious circle. Just grab a drink real quick. So let's see. So here's the follow up. So should I just eat then? Well, actually, yeah. Yes, you should just eat. And this is a really important point. There are times when you will eat just to soothe your emotions, and that's okay. That's being human. But there's also an opportunity to learn something about the emotions that drive you to food. So before you make the decision to eat, maybe try asking yourself, what am I really hungry for? What do I really need right now that I think food is giving me? And identifying that is going to go a long way to help you find alternatives to food. Sorry about that. Gosh, it's allergy season here on the East Coast. And boy, it is really, really taking its toll this year. Let's see. Okay, so one thing that I think I can kind of follow up on this little series of conversation here. One of the things that most of us who are concerned about our weight, and we're also concerned about our emotional eating, we tend to look at it in very black and white. So when I say things like, yes, there's times when you're going to eat to soothe yourself, someone who's very focused on weight may often hear those words and say, well, but that just gives me permission to go crazy. I won't be able to control myself if I'm not dieting. And that for that, I would just offer that, first of all, that's not true. You will not, you will not be out of control. Will it be difficult? Sure. It may feel a little bit like a little rebellious way to stop the restriction and the deprivation, just to go kind of face down in all the things. And sometimes we do that. So I've done that before. And it's okay too. That's again, that's being human. But my point is the black and white thinking of it's either all or nothing, black or white, is going to get in your way too. So there's a lot of mental work really to do around being okay with gray, being okay that most of the time you're going to find other alternative ways, and sometimes food's going to be the thing that does provide you the emotional relief that you need, and being okay with that so that you can move forward without getting too terribly hung up in this idea of controlling your eating, because we're not looking for control. Control is not the goal. Freedom is the goal. Freedom from this kind of grip that food and emotional eating has on us. Let me pop over here real quick. Okay. Let's see what else we have. While we're waiting on a question, you know what? I would like to do a little follow-up. So, gosh, I almost forgot about this. So 2 weeks ago, I think it was on April 23rd, we had a participant that did some coaching in the Q&A, and this person was struggling with this feeling of guilt when she ate foods that she thought were unhealthy. So she had a pretty strong good food, bad food list. And she was really working or trying to work on that not feeling guilty every time she ate something that kind of fell in the unhealthy bucket. So we talked through that a little bit. And towards the end of the call, she mentioned that she had a dinner with her in-laws coming up, and that was creating a lot of anxiety for her. And in fact, so much so that she was even considering finding an excuse not to go, because she knew that she would likely eat something that she, in her mind, felt was unhealthy and would experience all of that guilt. So she was trying to figure out a way to either not go, or we talked through and came up with a little bit of a strategy that would help her navigate the restaurant, the food choices, and that feeling of guilt that she was worried would result from that. So I think it was about a week ago, this participant emailed me with her, and with her permission, I wanted to share how that dinner went for her. So I'm just going to read you a little bit of her email. So she said, as we talked about, I picked the restaurant ahead of time and decided that I would order in advance. And that helped a lot because I didn't have to worry about where we were going and if they would have healthy options. And then she goes on to say, I ordered what I planned on, even though I wouldn't consider it healthy, and I tried to enjoy it. For the most part, I did, but I still heard the chatter in my head. But overall, it was a much better experience that I've had than what I've had in the past, and I'm grateful for that. I'm still working on accepting that food isn't good or bad, and it's not easy, but I'm starting to get it, I think. We went out for ice cream recently for the first time, and I actually enjoyed it and only had a quick moment of guilt. So I'm making progress. Oh, congratulations. So thank you for the coaching, and to Life Coach University for making it so easy. That's wonderful. Um, and then she said, I'll definitely be back to get coaching again. And maybe next time I'll raise my hand instead of using the Q&A. Oh, that's fantastic. So I'm so glad she shared that with us. We'd invited her to come back and do a follow-up. So I think this was fantastic that she was able to share that with us. All right, let's see what we have. Let's see. I seem to eat myself full. I only notice that I'm full when I feel my belt is too tight. Yeah, this is really common. This is really common. This is and actually this idea of eating to enough is something that personally I've worked really hard on, and most of my clients spend a lot of time working on being able to sense when they've had enough. So just a couple of quick things I would offer to you. Um, how about when we think about, like, most of us eat really, really fast. Let me move my screen 1 second so I can at least be facing you. Okay. One of the things I noticed as I was learning how to sense when my body has had enough food was I had to slow down. I had to really slow down my eating and be very, very intentional about the pace, because physically our bodies can only process so fast. And oftentimes I would stop eating thinking that I was kind of just at that enough mark, but quite literally 10 or 15 minutes later, I would feel just like you described, that the belt was too tight and I just needed to lay down and take a nap. And it was mostly because I did eat more than my body needed because I was eating too fast. So that might be a great place to just start and notice how fast you're eating and just try to slow it down just a little bit and see if that helps you in sensing when you've actually hit that enough mark. The other thing you can do to be really super intentional is it's you can do it quietly. Nobody has to know you're doing this, but whatever, well, sometimes when I sit down to eat with a plate of food, I'll tell myself, okay, you're going to eat half of this food and then just stop for just a minute or two and just let everything kind of settle. And then I'll see how I feel. If I still feel like I'm not quite satisfied yet, I'll eat half of what's remaining and then I'll stop and I'll rest again, just a couple of minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, and I can decide at each half if I want to keep going. Now, I found oftentimes I typically get to like 3/4 of the plate and I realize I've just had enough and I can stop. It makes it much easier when you're being very intentional about it rather than kind of relying on some signal coming up that says you've had enough. Because if you're going too fast, it's likely that you're going to miss that. And then the last thing I think I would offer in this case is that to remember that you can always have more. A lot of people really struggle with not finishing a plate, the clean plate club, or throwing food away or that type of thing. You can always package up and save it, or you can always go back later. If you're hungry in another hour or two and it's truly hunger, you can go have more. So that sometimes when you remind yourself of that, it makes it a little bit easier to step away before you get to that really full, uncomfortable feeling. So I hope that helps. Let's see. We have anything else here? All right, we've got nothing there. All right. So how about we wrap up then with I have got a question that actually came into me via email this week that I can share here. And it's sort of similar to what our participant just last shared about feeling full, but it's on the other side of it. How do I know when I'm actually hungry? This is a really, I thought this was such a great question. This person had emailed me and said, I'm really trying to listen to my body, but I can't get a good sense of when I'm truly hungry or if it's just for some other reason. So I gave this person a little bit of advice that I think, like I said, is kind of the other side of our last participant's question. So when you're trying to sense when you're hungry, first of all, one of the biggest challenges is that if you're somebody that's been dieting for any amount of time, like restrictive dieting, a couple of things could be going on. Your hunger signals could be highly sensitive, like you're hungry all the time because you've been depriving yourself. So it takes a little bit of time for that to regulate, or it could be just the opposite. You could be someone who is kind of desensitized from those signals, and you're not quite sure what it actually is hunger, because in many ways you're hungry all the time because you've been dieting for so long. So you're not quite sure what's real, what isn't. So it takes a little time to regulate. So, but what I would suggest is that in this particular case, what I shared with this person is that when you think you're hungry, just test it out. Just eat something and then step away. Doesn't have to be a lot. And then wait and see how you feel in about 15 minutes or so. You may be just fine and say, you know what, I don't need anything else. Or you may say, no, that didn't do it for me. I need to go try a little bit more. And then you can have something else. Don't deprive yourself of food if you're truly hungry. And pay attention to how your body feels. That's really super important because your body will tell you. Now, some of the hunger signals that you might get, the obvious, everybody knows about the stomach rumbles and the growls, but this might sound really strange, but when I know that hunger is coming on for me, I start to yawn. I actually get a little bit tired or sleepy feeling, and quite distracted. So if I'm working and I notice that I start to wander around, or I'm changing over here and I'm Google for something and I just kind of lost focus, it's usually a signal that I'm getting hungry. And then when the yawning starts, I know that I'm hungry. So I don't typically get those stomach growls, but there's other signals. And unless you're listening for them, you may not necessarily hear them. So it's a process. It's a process of patience and trying different things and working towards really tuning in to what your body is telling you. And it takes time. So keep practicing it on both sides, the hunger and enough. And you'll be amazed at how soon you'll start to say, "Ooh, that's hungry. That's what hungry feels like." And on the other side of it, you'll catch yourself maybe midway through your dinner sometime and just say, I think I've had enough. And you'll be able to walk away so much easier. But you've got to stay at it and keep working it and practicing it and trying different things. All right. Let me just double check and see if anything else has come in. Nope. Okay. I think we are coming up on, yes, we are. We are at the almost the end of our time together. And last couple of things I would say, don't forget to go check out the Life Coach University website for the complete schedule of our Let's Coach sessions. There's, gosh, I don't even know for sure. I think there's 10 or 11 of us. We all have different times, different days of the week, and all different modalities of coaching and different areas of expertise. So there is so much out there that you can jump in whenever you need a coaching session, or you just want to step out of your life for 30 minutes and hear what they're talking about. And like I said in the beginning, there's so much value in coaching by proxy. You can pull out so much that you can apply to your own life just by listening. So don't forget to check that out. All right. I think we're at the end. I've got no more questions. Thank you all for that are here live. And if you're watching on replay, like I said, don't forget, if you have questions, I want to answer those too. And then just go to the Life Coach University website, find my picture under coaches, and then just hit the button and send me a note and I'll respond personally. All right. I hope you all have a beautiful weekend and I will be back next Friday. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.